Okay, in this video we're going to have a look at the laws of indices and how they work. So we're going to go through each piece and we're going to look at examples, and then we're going to finish off with a larger example. Okay, so you can see how you should break up any problem that you have. Okay, well let's start with the first bit. Number one, first law: any number to the power 0, as long as it's not 0 to the 0, will be equal to 1. Okay, so 5 to the 0 is 1, 77 to the 0 is 1, whatever. Okay, you've got to remember that one. Number 2, okay, rule number 2: any number, okay, where you've got a fraction in the index, so x to the power of 1a for example, then that is the 8th root of x. Okay, so we're going to have to look at a couple of examples here just to make sure that everything's alright. So let's have a look at 4 to the half. Okay, well, the half root is just the square root. Okay, the second root, sorry, it's just that square root. So the square root of 4 is 2, or plus or minus 2. Okay, let's be right about this. 4 plus or minus 2. If I've got 8 to the third, on the other hand, that is the cube root of 8. Notice how I write the 3 here in this case, but I haven't written a 2 here. Okay, we don't need to write a 2 because this is just a normal square root sign. So the cube root of 8 is 2. 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. Okay, so that's how the fraction works. Okay, next up, number 3. Number 3, any number with a negative power, okay, negative index, x to the minus a, is 1 over x to the a. Okay, so for example, if I've got 2 to the minus 3, then that is equal to 1 over 2 to the power 3, or 2 cubed, which is 1 over 8. Okay, if we were looking at a fraction, so another example would be 2 thirds to the power minus 3. Okay, then that means that we've got to flip the fraction upside down, because it's like having 1 over 2 thirds cubed. Okay, and that is the fraction flipped upside down, and then you'll just multiply it out as usual. Right, rule number 4. Okay, if you've got x to the a times x to the b, now notice how the x's here are both the same number. Okay, this only works if they're both the same number. Then that is x to the a plus b. The two indices get added together. So for example, if I've got 5 squared times 5 to the 7, then that is equal to 5 to the 2 plus 7, which is 5 to the 9. Okay, I can't combine, say, 2 squared times 3 to the 4. Okay, I can't combine these. So let's have a look at the next one. So law 5, if you will. If I've got x to the a, not times this time, but divide, okay, You can also write this as x to the a over x to the b. They are exactly the same thing. Well, that is equal to x to the a take away b. Okay, so for example, 3 to the 7 over 3 to the 4, or 3 to the 7 divided by 3 to the 4, is 3 to the 3. Because the 7 take away 4 is 3. Now you cannot combine them if you have something like x to the a plus x to the b. These cannot be combined, so just leave them as they are. They can't be combined if that's a minus either. Okay, so just be wary of what you're doing. You can only ever combine them if it's a times or a divide. Okay, next up, rule number 6. If we are looking at x to the a all to the b, okay, then that is equal to x to the a b. Okay, so the two indices are multiplied together. So we could also write that as x to the b a. You can interchange them. That is perfectly acceptable. Okay, so if we were looking at, for example, 2 to the 5 cubed, then that is 2 to the 5 times 3, which is 15. Okay. Next up, I think this is the last one, number 7. If you're looking at x to the a over b, okay, so we've already looked at a fraction, but this is going to be slightly different, just so we're really combining two laws here. Well, first off, you can have that as x to the a all to the 1 over b. Okay, so that is straight from law 6. Okay, or you can write it as x to the 1 over b to the a. Okay, these are interchangeable, they're fine. Okay, that works, and one of them will usually be better than the other. Okay, so to show you an example of what I mean here, if I've got 125 to the 2/3, okay, initially that looks quite nasty. However, if you write this as 125 to the 3rd squared, okay, which we can do from this law, the cube root of 125 is 5, so it's just 5 squared, what's in the bracket squared, which is 25. Notice how this has been a lot simpler than doing this, from writing 125 squared to the 3rd. Okay, so that would involve you finding 125 squared and then determining the cube root of it. Okay, that is much more difficult than working with it this way round. So in some cases, one method will work better than the other. Okay, we're going to look at a specific example now, not a specific one. Okay, we are going to evaluate 8 over 125, okay, already a nasty fraction, to the minus 2/3. Now it is incredibly important that you break this up into steps. Okay, so first of all, we can write this as 125 over 8 to the 2/3. That is because the negative power allows us to go, well, it's 1 over 8 over 125, so I can flip the fraction upside down. Okay, so remember that was from law 3. Okay, we looked at it at law 3, or rule number 3 if you like. Now we're going to use rule 7, okay, where we can now take the fraction, split the fraction up into a squared and a third. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that. To the third, and I'm choosing to do it this way round because otherwise I'm going to get similar situations we saw before where we're going to have 125 squared, okay, which is going to be nasty to deal with. Now we've got 125 eighths to the third. Now we are allowed to find the third root of 125, or the cube root of 125, and the cube root of 8. Okay, so you can write that as 125 to the third over 8 to the third. Okay, that should probably have been another law, but hey, we didn't want I didn't want to do too many. Okay, so you really should know that you can do that. Okay, so 125 to the third root of 125 is 5, and the third root to the cube root of 8 is 2. So we've got 5 halves squared. Now you'll already know here that 5 halves squared just means that I can square the top and square the bottom. It's exactly the same rule as we used for to the third here, okay, to go from this step to here. So 5 squared over 2 squared is 25 quarters. Okay, so notice how we split it up into several pieces. We took each step individually, okay, to simplify the problem down, and that is really how I advise you to do it if you were given such a question in the exam.